What's it like for you knowing that people are going to see it this week? What are you thinking?
I mean, it's...
Rebecca Ferguson was a little unsure how to answer that question 2 days before Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 came out. 2 days ago, as the film passed the $500 million mark at the global box office, Empire dropped their interview with writer-director Christopher McQuarrie.
Are you concerned at all about blowback in terms of...
There will be, inevitably.
Yeah.
There will be. In fact, in the first screening, 2 people got up and left and didn't come back. And I knew that was a possibility.
Why did they walk out? Well, if you haven't seen Dead Reckoning Part 1 yet, you don't want me to answer that question right now. So if you choose not to accept watching the rest of this segment, you have 5 seconds before this message self-destructs, or really I just keep on talking. So just hit like pause or exit or close window. That's all you gotta do. I'll wait. So after 3 mission films, and being the first female coworker to stick around Ethan Hunt for any period of time, Ilsa,
I know there will be people upset. I know there are people who feel very, very invested in that relationship. It was one of the earliest conversations. We were on the set of Top Gun. We were already talking about it. And we knew that if the movie was going to go darker, something in the story had to diverge.
So this is where we get into some iffy territory with Christopher McQuarrie. So he says that they discussed the possibility of each of the IMF characters being the death that causes the franchise to diverge.
We explored them all, and everything's on the table.
Mm-hmm.
That look you just gave me, Chris. People can say, why not Benji and why not Luther? You're essentially saying, why not a man instead of the woman I want to see Ethan end up with?
Mm-hmm.
That to me is not a valid question.
For some, that might be the only value of the character of Ilsa, but I didn't see her as a love interest or attached to Ethan Hunt at all. She was a valuable character because she was a quick-witted assassin and she was fun to watch. It's disappointing that in Death, Christopher defines Ilsa in relation to Ethan Hunt, especially when he says this in another part of the interview.
And it was never about creating a character who was defined by her love story with Ethan Hunt.
Then why did you just do that, Christopher? Like, you didn't define Benji and Luther in their relation to Ethan, and we know even less about them. The only thing we really know about them is their attachment to Ethan. I thought the film did quite a disservice to Ilsa. While Christopher thinks they did right by her in Death,
it's a very heroic death for that character. It is not in any way, shape, or form disposable. It's a noble and heroic death.
In life, this Mission 7, Ilsa is reduced to being a love interest. It's head-spinning that she basically just becomes a point in the love triangle of Ethan and Grace. And she's sitting there on the couch, and Ethan is choosing, who's he going to save? Is he going to save Grace, who he spent about 20 minutes with at this point? And in those 20 minutes, Grace has accused him of sexual harassment and left him for dead in the path of a subway train.
People are chasing us.
Yes, they are.
For Ethan, those 2 backstabbing moves put her neck and neck with the fellow agent who has had Ethan's back for 8 years.
We've never met before, right?
Follow me.
Including taking out adversaries on horseback earlier in the movie. After that early action sequence, Ilsa then spends the movie...
It's my first time in Venice.
It's mine too.
Lovingly looking into Ethan's eyes, hugging him on a Venice balcony, holding his hand on a gondola in Venice. Incredibly, becoming the thing that Christopher vowed she never would be.
Every decision I make, particularly about women characters in these movies, is in service of the dignity of that character, not in service of that character serving a man.
I found that entire party sequence to be clunky and unassured, which makes Ilsa's death that follows even more infuriating and unearned.
We need to understand why. This is character-driven, and we need to earn the moments that you see.
The action feels earned. Tom's jump, the car chase sequence, the train sequence, all earned incredible stuff. Ilsa being killed off as a sideline character and then immediately replaced by a fresher model in Grace didn't sit with me well at all.
This one, emotionally, action-wise, goes beyond.
Yeah, it definitely goes beyond. Collider's headline said, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 fumbled that death hard. What makes it baffling isn't so much the character's death, but the narrative choices leading up to it and what happens after. Den of Geek calls the narrative choice both a mistake and the film's biggest mishap, while Inverse says the franchise threw away its secret weapon and her death drags the film back into the dark ages. So yeah, Ilsa deserved better. And I actually think Grace deserved better. I quite liked her character, but she is so quickly shoved in there to replace Ilsa for the team and for the audience that I now have some resentment toward Grace. Luther should have been the one that died.
None of our lives can matter more than this mission.
I don't accept that.
What were your thoughts on Ilsa ultimately not completing the mission series? Now, I'm just going to throw something out there. I do think she was supposed to die in this movie. Given the backlash over her death, do you think they will resurrect her? Maybe not in part 2, but in like the next Mission Impossible. I see that a very likely possibility. I mean, Mission Impossible has done crazier things in their movies than bringing back Ilsa. I don't think it'd be that hard to do, and it'll be interesting to see if they do it given all this backlash. But I also will take this opportunity to say maybe Elsa's death opens the door, the narrative opportunity to bring back someone else. Paula Patton. She was fantastic in Ghost Protocol.
Where's Ethan?
And she was the only major cast member not to return for Rogue Nation. I don't know what the heck was up with that.
You do make an impression.
And of course, everyone else kind of stayed on after that. So bring back Paula Patton. Let's throw that out there. But yeah, give me your thoughts.